Ugh. There we go. Kinda. Alright, Turok. Shit in the background, whatever. I keep forgetting this thing's inverted. Today I'm just gonna talk about things with the last chapter. This is chapter 1062, post thoughts. A lot of shit happened. So last chapter we met VegaPunks, and it's quite bit different than I imagine any of us expected. I always had in my mind, I'm a big fan of Tekken 101. I know I mentioned him here several times right now. So I watched some of Grand Line Review and Joyboy Theories, and I should really follow up on them. I don't know why I'm not getting recommendations for them anymore. But Tekken is also such a good channel to watch that I forget to watch the other gentlemen who also have interesting perspectives on them. Although I find Grand Line Reviews to be the one I can watch the least, because he's doing good at his job, but he critiques the show, the story of One Piece so much that I start just tuning him out a little bit. I like what he's saying, I just can only listen to him in small batches. So I am very excited about what I'm excited about what Oda has done here. So VegaPunk, and I like this because it's personally something I would probably do myself if I was capable of. And that is separate myself into multiple beings in some form or another so I can accomplish more. I think that's what Oda is going for here with VegaPunk. This guy has so much ideas in his head, so many ideas in his head that he is he's put himself into other beings, and that's a key thing too I want to get into, so that he can accomplish more. I think the way he's doing this is it's each... Oh, I'm going to throw that window. I think what he is doing here is putting a copy of himself into each of these beings, and so that they're all basically VegaPunk, but they each have a different aspect of VegaPunk. I was trying to think about with the image here at the end of why Oda chose these different versions of VegaPunk that we are given through CP0. And I'm thinking these must be like his biggest vices and strengths that VegaPunk may have. So when I look at these, they made me think of the 7 deadly sins, which are, give me a sec to go in the order. I'm thinking of an order that a book used. I'll mention in a minute. Sloth, so like laziness, greed, gluttony, wrath, lust, envy, and pride. I should probably put them up on this and afterward and make sure I'm right. So as I remember, they are the 7 deadly sins. And there are 7 VegaPunks all together, with the source VegaPunk, the real VegaPunk, and his 6 not doppelgangers, but clones, I'm going to call them right now. They're probably robots, but I'm going to call them clones right now, because there was that conversation about clones because of Judge, who was worked with VegaPunk. Judge, who worked with VegaPunk, my trash can, has been creating clones. Part of his Judge is doing that as a way to make an army that have a formidable force and presence in the world. I think these could be clones until I see otherwise. That's what I would do. Yeah, if I had the power to, if I had knew of a way to make myself into multiple beings, and I could I would not want to do it if they were all too independent of each other. I'd want to have some control of I would do it in the goal of trying to have myself accomplish everything I want to in life. I'm a person who thinks about lots of things I want to do, and I know I can never do them all. But this would be how I would do it. I would go for this because I would want to learn other languages. I'd want to try to be. I really like artistry, art, drawing and writing, and I'm having a hard time making time for that. That's what I think I want to focus on. But there's all like these other these other goals I wish I could follow through, and I don't think I'll ever get through them all. And seeing what VegaPunk has done here is the kind of way I would do it. So what was I? Oh, 7 Deadly Sins. I thought this was the 7 Deadly Sins, and there are a few of those in there. Well, really, there's only 2? There's really only 2 of the sins in there. What they call there's desire, which I would label think is lust applies as well, and wrath. But the other ones are like wisdom, flair, evil, and logic. I like the logic one though, because I like to think about a lot of things logically, and that's part of the reason I like videos like this where I'm not really focusing on a topic. My logic and my other things are trying to make me think about what I want to talk about. I'm trying to do this ad-libbing or whatever. So anyways, also quickly, the reason I thought about the 7 Deadly Sins that way is I have my favorite author. I like reading high fantasy type stuff, and my favorite author of fantasy is Garth Nix, an Australian author. Oh, no man. My favorite author is an Australian one named Garth Nix, and one of his more recent series was one where the protagonist had to go up against multiple foes who represented the 7 Deadly Sins, and they went in the order I had given: the laziness, greed, gluttony, wrath, lust, pride, envy, then pride. Laziness, greed, gluttony, wrath, lust, envy, pride. And those are the major foes in there. The keys to the kingdom there, the series is called. So I feel like VegaPunk is kind of going, Oda is kind of going for this symbolism, but I'm wondering, looking at these again, I'm thinking that what is actually happening here is these might be the main desires or things that go on in VegaPunk's head. And I want to go through some of them actually, because actually we get a pretty good look at some of them, 2 of them here, or three of them really. So we first got Lilith, evil. And thank you for checking, for reminding me that Lilith, I always thought of Lilith as being like an early demon, and maybe there's some truth to that, because I've thought about her in, there's a video game called Darksiders 2, and that series in general focuses on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And in the second one, spoilers if you haven't watched it or played it, I'm going to go on a little bit about it. I don't know when I'll put the timestamp in, I guess. Spoilers for that series. They have Lilith as a character in there, and she is a succubus type demon who, in that lore, created the horsemen, or the horsemen of the apocalypse in there are part of the Nephilim, which, if I recall correctly, when I read up about them, they're supposed to be like giants, different beings that appear briefly in the Old Testament of the Bible. And so, where was I going with that? Oh, I just told that was my train of thought. So I was looking at Lucia in here. So Nephilim, Darksiders 2. Nephilim are in the video game. Nephilim are a combination of demons and angels, and Lilith is the one who created them in there. She is essentially the mother. So I've thought of that, and I'm pretty sure I had read that she was like the a very old demon. But Tegan mentioned she was supposed to be a woman who was created around the same time as Eve, but didn't, I guess you could say, submit and comply with God's orders and plan. So she was cast aside. Sounds like something that would happen actually. That would actually sound like an interesting kind of game / story thing to create about origin stuff. I like that kind of stuff where there's some other person / being you never heard of, and they are snuffed aside and they're omitted from text you find later because they didn't want to talk about it. Anyways, I'm losing my off topic again. I suspect these are VegaPunk's main things he thinks about. So with Lilith, I think evil. I would guess though with VegaPunk, evil is probably the least of his vices. I think he really just wants to create all his ideas and get them down so he doesn't lose them, and he's perhaps maybe he has in some way wants to be remembered in history as a as someone who so as great as he is. He doesn't want to be. I think that's a general goal of some people who are geniuses. I think Julius Caesar, as a historical reference, was kind of like that, where he was such a smart, well-rounded guy that he wanted to be the greatest Roman person ever known. And I think that would be Vegapunk's goals as well. But evil, when you're a scientist, or if you're someone like Julius Caesar, I think would be a good example too. These people inevitably end up doing stuff that can be portrayed as evil, where they harm others, and that makes them others look poorly upon them. So as a scientist, VegaPunk has probably done, unfortunately, experiments on living beings, which is also something I was actually worried about with him. I'm still kind of worried too that the what's the one's name? Stalka? What's the name called? Where is it? Shaka. I'm worried about Shaka being that kind of person in this story. I'm worried that Shaka would want to capture the Straw Hats to undergo experiment, and I don't think someone like Shaka would care about the consequences of that. I know she's not evil as a result, but I'm looking at a person like VegaPunk as a whole. I would see logic and evil being kind of combined together to a point where they're just trying to achieve great things and they don't care about the sacrifices they have to do along the way. So, but Lilith's evil in here is just, all we saw so far is she is concerned about keeping their projects funded, and her way of helping out with that at this point is to help rob from other pirates and other ships, probably just pirates, the way she implied it, from pirates from the who come near the island and rob them of all their treasure to keep, because they're going through a research fund. She implies they were getting research funds, but not enough to keep their projects going. Actually, it makes me wonder too, who's supplying them with the stuff they need to keep all that inventions they're making going. There's a number of islands. They got a lot of resources there, particularly like metals and plastics and food materials, like for that machine that can produce anything. But anyways, Lilith is the evil one. So she just, each of these then seems like they're distilled of his certain attributes, but I suspect based on the way they're talking to, like Lilith talked, they are also all still VegaPunk at the end of the day. They just focus on different aspects of him. Kind of like, actually that's a good point. It kind of reminds me of the Doctor in Doctor Who. Each of his reincarnations, and likewise, I don't know if we saw the Time Lords enough in the old series. We didn't in the new ones, as far as I know. But the Doctor is essentially the same person at the end of the day. but each time he reincarnated into a new person, he had different qualities and personalities that shone through. The 11th Doctor was very whimsical and thinking, high-minded, and trying to. He was very positive in many ways too. And then the 12th Doctor was like almost the opposite. Well, actually, he thought very differently, high-minded in some way. What I mean high-minded is they both would kind of lose focus of who's in trouble, so to speak, what the goal should they lose sight of the goal in some way, but the 12th Doctor was very pessimistic, and the 11th was kind of the opposite, but they all had the same knowledge. They had thousands of years of knowledge compacted together by then, so they all could come to the same conclusions, and well, some conclusions there was different because of their qualities and personalities. I suspect this is what's going on here with VegaPunk, because the Lilith here, she's said to be evil, but all we see is her focusing on actually helping their research prospects by keeping enough money to fund them. But at the same time, we see when we first saw her, she was talking to herself about how the shark cyborg could not be purged of its qualities to attack and eat ships that were coming by, or attack and eat in general. Like a shark would just go after things it wants to satisfy its hunger. She or they together were trying to cure that, trying to have this thing be a perfect machine, and it seems they could not do that. And so she had her goals were at this point are to further their solve the money problems, but she's still a scientist. So that's also the same with wrath, which wrath is about anger and such. But wrath here goes on a long monologue explaining to the Straw Hats and Bonnie who are there present what inventions are in front of them. And then the wrath comes in when she is unable to deal with the fact that they can't mass produce, the Vegapunks can't mass produce or outsource like their projects and works to other people because it's too complicated for anyone else. And so she's quite a bit similar to the so again, it's back to my point here. Wrath seems quite a bit like a thing where wrath would be something I think anyone would have. So if you were anyone who could separate yourself into multiple beings, I could see wrath being something that most people, if not all, would have as a potential problem, because people are just prone to anger one way or the other. And as Vegapunk's Lilith form has said, it's hard to purge those kind of things. And so being wrath sounds like something that would be very unavoidable distilled version of yourself if you were to clone him. Or maybe if you could have an ideal way of cloning yourself, all your clones would be just as balanced in the same ways you are if you tried to be that way anyways, and then you could have them stick to the same goals. That's what I would hope for if I did something like this anyways. So yes, we had Lilith, who's evil, but her evil, we don't know the extent. Maybe she's more evil than that. Maybe she is the one who, maybe she's been pushed out into doing this patrolling the island because she's too evil for what Vegapunk wants. That sounds like a plausibility. Like she's trying to experiment too much on there's test subjects they've brought in, and she's too she lacks any empathy toward what they have what they're doing to their subjects, so she's been pushed aside so that she doesn't do too much of that. The other, maybe Vegapunk doesn't want to harm people per se, but just wants to achieve his goals at the same time. So we saw Shaka as Logic, and we don't see her face yet. We see someone wearing a helmet, and Shaka though kind of scared me because of Logic. Logic is usually something that's seen as very cold and very lacking empathy also. So I'm a little scared of Shaka because she could be having some other goals in mind and maybe keeping the Straw Hats there to experiment on them, or at least gain, like with someone like, I was speculating with someone like Luffy on the crew, or even just Zoro, Sanji. VegaPunk would want to have their DNA to make more Seraphims. And so I'm concerned still that the way Shaka did it too, that Lilith, because she's like, oh, this isn't a rescue. But now Shaka seems more in line with what I was speculating there, in that they may, Shaka may be the one to want to keep them. Yeah, so I want to experiment on them. So I'm still a little worried about the whether or not the Straw Hats are safe there. And Shaka now distills that in the best way I meant last time, that they'd want to have them as test subjects. And we haven't seen what Shaka looks like. It almost looks like they got maybe dark hair, unless that was an outfit that's stemming behind their neck. Excuse me. Energy drink. And also, by the way, I noticed, I'm going to say this now because I'll forget. We don't know why Zoro wants... What Zoro wants from them. What did Tekking say again? Something about with dragons. Oh yeah, Tekking was speculating that Ryuma, because of the dragons that they met in Punk Hazard, maybe Zoro wants to know why VegaPunk made dragons, artificial dragons. So that's something too to think about later. Anyways, back to the other ones. So we got Wrath. Let's see what other ones are here now. Also, last thing with Logic, I would think that Logic might be the more leader, probably the leader among the known VegaPunk clones outside of VegaPunk, because that seems like someone who would have be able to focus on whatever goals they're trying to achieve there, and keeping themselves in line with their projects they're trying to achieve. Also, since we got ones who are named Wrath and Flare, Evil, and Desire, I think Logic would probably be the one who really has to be the director of them, to keep them focusing on what we're trying to achieve here. And also the Wisdom, there's one named Wisdom there, Pythagoras. Wisdom, I would suspect, could be the end-all leader. Like that, Wisdom sounds like the name of a person who's really the leader and who helps morally guide them, like a Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter. And Logic would be the second in command, like a McGonagall or somebody who's out there leading the troops on the ground more. So Logic and Wisdom seem like they could be the leader. So Logic, you could tell Logic kept Lilith in line, because Lilith was about to get over her head, at least to Logic's Shaka's point, and I suspect she was right. I don't think her robot would have had any chance against Zoro's Zoro and Enma together. If he used a full hockey slash, I think that robot would have been done in, and those other also sea beasts. Actually, one other thing, I kept calling the other things sea beasts, and I was wrong about that. I kept thinking they aren't sea beasts, but they are. I forgot about the cow one that Arlong had as his pet slash another guard to help protect his base of operations way back 900 chapters ago. So there are sea beasts here, and I forgot about them, that are based on animals, but they're also aquatic here. They look like other mammals usually, but are aquatic animals too. They live in the sea, and most of them usually look like they're made after land animals, like cows, giraffes, wolves, bears, etc. Forgot about that. So I'll go back to this. So yeah, I mentioned Wisdom. Yeah, Wisdom looks like they would probably be the one who's maybe in charge. Like, say VegaPunk. I'm not sure, but they didn't mention VegaPunk enough, right? Where his Stella. See, they mentioned his. They mentioned the Stella body, which I actually had to look up that word. I thought Stella was just like a name. I have a cat named Stella, actually, and Stella is I think it was a Latin word, right? And that's a word that means a celestial star. That could could work for what's his name, VegaPunk, since he is like the brightest person in the One Piece world as far as intellect and ingenuity and creativity. So, where did I put that page? So, if I'm thinking that VegaPunk though may not be there as a VegaPunk, I'm thinking if he's a really old man, he may be like in some kind of stasis by this point because he can't continue on living anymore because his body may be in poor health. And actually, that reminds me too. That could be. I've been watching Ghost in the Shell the standalone complex TV show, and one of the episodes, there's this guy. I think he's supposed to be from South America. He's some hero of a big revolution there, and the crew of of Section 9 are investigating why he continues to come to Japan every so often. And spoilers, it turns out he's actually either severely injured or was he dead. He's like in some kind of stasis as well, and it's been that way for a while. And the people the country he was associated with are creating copies of him, and because he's the hero of some great revolution, and he's been acting as like the pivotal. He's not like the leader of their political leader now. Maybe because he's such a hero, they don't want their enemy to know he's dead, and they're creating like these copies of him that the Section 9 crew meet. I have a feeling that is what's going on here with VegaPunk, that he could be like in stasis. We may seem like in some kind of machine similar to the Section 9 guy. I'll post a picture of that to show you what I mean. He's inside like a tube or a thing where he's got the breathing and he's unable to exist anymore and without life support, essentially, is what I'm getting at. And I bet that's why these other ones are doing all the work. So he may be like that. We'll find out, I hope. And so I'm thinking that Wisdom, Punk number 4, Pythagoras, would probably be the leader overall over the other 6 clones. Logic, though, seems like they're running perhaps day-to-day operations. That's the way I'm gonna look at it. They're the foremen. They're on the ground working with the others to keep them in line. Because looking at their other attributes, I could see all the others, as I just said a little bit ago, being a little outlandish and losing focus because their attributes make them unable to stay on task as well. So what's next? We got a couple left here. Flair, named Edison. Oh boy, I can imagine what that character's gonna look like. They're gonna probably not be dressed up like a scientist at all. I bet they're being some kind of fashion clothing or something. But it's funny that he's calling him Edison, because Edison was like someone who perfected the light bulb, I believe, or something with electricity. And I just can't see the real Edison being someone who's Flair. So, Edison. So I imagine, I'm wondering too, if each of these, that's something. What if each of these clones are focused on specific agendas that VegaPunk wanted to achieve in his life? We saw Wrath being in this very futuristic world, which fits into what we've heard about VegaPunk in general, that he's 500 years ahead scientifically with technology over the rest of the One Piece world. I would think that VegaPunk would be focused on some other projects as well. Actually, we already know of other projects he's focused on, like the Devil Fruit, making new Devil Fruits. So one of these other guys, we know Evil is probably not doing a lot of projects right now. These other guys are probably focused on other projects. Wrath seems right now would be like the one who's doing the futuristic stuff, the general 500 plus year in the future stuff. What if these other ones are doing the devil fruit thing? Also, now we know about we already knew. We have the what do they call it again? The Seraphims, the first what do they call it? The ones that they made after Bartholomew and Kuma. Someone else is probably working on that project. Let me pull that up because I can't remember the name. The PX, the Pacifistas. I bet one of them would be focusing on the Pacifista projects there, and so we would have Wrath perhaps doing the future stuff, the general future stuff, the Jetson style stuff. We would have one doing the devil fruit creation stuff, the artificial ones. One could be making the Pacifistas. So that leaves so that's 3. So maybe Wrath is doing the future stuff. Desire, Flare. See, Pacifistas and Devil Fruit. I could see Shaka being the one who could be doing the Devil Fruit stuff, looking for a way to understand them. I still think Devil Fruits are something are probably going to be something of an enigma to all the One Piece characters, maybe even the VegaPunk. I would see Shaka as the one who'd be heading that kind of project. So that would be her thing. I'm just assuming the girls. I'm thinking they'll all be girls, except maybe Wisdom won't be, because that's named after a guy. Wrath was named after a female character too, and so is Edison, but Wrath is a girl also. I'm assuming at this point they're all females. So I'm thinking Logic would be in charge of the what was I saying? The artificial devil fruit creation. Actually, there's a question there too. When VegaPunk worked with Caesar on Punk Hazard years ago, that's right, VegaPunk, I forgot about that. Was only one of these guys or multiple of these punks working with Caesar then? Does Caesar, I don't remember now, does Caesar remember that does he know that VegaPunk was an old man and did he work with him directly? Perhaps something happened there where VegaPunk became incapable of working anymore himself, and that's when he made the other punks. So anyways, yeah, Logic might be making the artificial devil fruits. Wrath is working on the futuristic stuff. So who might be doing the Seraphim project? Desire, Wisdom, Flare, and Evil. Not Lilith. Wrath, Wisdom. Wisdom or Desire? I'm going to go with Desire. I'm going to think Desire named Yoke is the one who might be doing the Seraphim project. I don't know why. It just sounds like they were desire to make a perfect being, so to speak. And they would want to work with whatever genetic stuff they can find. And they would want to, make a perfect being. Make a cell. They're like Jiro in his final project and making a perfect being. I could see Desire being like, that's my goal because I desire this. I want to see what I can push forward with my science as a scientist of VegaPunk, an aspect of VegaPunk. I want this. Where Shaka wouldn't care about that because logic about them is just more about learning what is there already. Learning, sort of with the devil fruits, learning what devil fruits are. I have no desire to make something perfect. I want to know what's already here. So I have a feeling that could be something going on, that they'll all have their own projects. Wisdom, I don't know. Again, I'm thinking Wisdom is probably someone who's a little above these guys, like a project, more than a project manager. Someone who's focusing on the goals of VegaPunk. Someone who's like a steward, really, who wants to keep VegaPunk's goals in mind. Like if VegaPunk is in stasis and have the Wisdom I would think one of them would have to be the ones who keep the others in line and focus on what VegaPunk wanted out of life, to follow his dream, pursue his dream. They could essentially be this version. See, you know how like we have Luffy who wants to follow his own dream and he's trying to incorporate other people's. No, well, I'm thinking about like Ace. He wants to. I'm gonna go off topic. I'm thinking like these guys. The punks are like the children of a father, and they want to all. The father has this great dream, and they want to pursue that for him. VegaPunk is too advanced to do it. His mind is too advanced, and his body is still human, and he can't go further than what he has. He didn't. It's too bad someone like him in a way didn't like regain get the special surgery from Law's fruit, so he could live on forever and keep doing his stuff. But his science has allowed him to find an alternative way, and now he can have his clones, I'm gonna still call them, do it for him. So I would see one of them. In order for these other ones not to go rogue, you'd have one of them be in charge and focus the others together. And I would see that as being Pythagoras. So, what was last? Yeah, Flare. I was talking about Flare a little bit being Edison. The Edison just being the one who's got dressed outlandish. But I don't know what Edison would be doing. Maybe Edison would be finding ways to help people in general then. Making projects that can actually be viable for the time being. I could see that actually. Viable. Edison would probably be one who'd be making stuff. I was also talking last time about if Oroborus was being maintained by VegaPunk. Maybe Edison would be the one doing that. Like he's focusing on things that the government can have help them at this time. Well, Desire, if I'm correct, is doing the Seraphims and Pacifistas. Maybe Flare's doing other stuff that they've been helping them. Maybe outfit the naval ships with better technology to travel through the comm belt. I can see Flare being that way. They want to. They'll be the one that the government's been having VegaPunk probably help them for a very long time. And now we got these. We know that VegaPunk does these other projects. I would see one of them, and I'm gonna guess Flare still, is the one doing that kind of work. She. I'm saying he now because of Edison's name, but I'm gonna still assume they're all girls at this point. She is doing that kind of work for the government. She's focused on. My shoulders feel so like I'm slouching. Is it my left? There it is. She would be the one doing that, I think. So, Logic, Devil Fruits, Edison, current projects, Wisdom, the one who oversees everything, Wrath, futuristic jets and stuff, Desire, Seraphims, and Pacifistas. I'm going to go with that for now. So, last thing. Why is, maybe not last thing. Why is the government trying to kill all these punks now? What are they worried about? If all of them are like part of a single person, they probably all know the same thing. And maybe they all know about Oroborus. If Edison's the one I'm speculating was working on Oroborus, or maybe VegaPunk himself was previously, because this Oroborus thing is an ancient weapon, that could mean that it's been around a long time. And VegaPunk is probably the one maybe VegaPunk is the one who helped to get operational again. Perhaps if Im-sama has been using that thing a long time, it eventually had to be maintained, and maybe he didn't have a way to do that for a while until VegaPunk came around and they were made known of each other. The government found his VegaPunk because he came from that one island, and he may have been just living there himself, right, or with the community of people he's lived with there, doing his stuff. And eventually, word got out of this genius, and the world government made him offers and incentivized him to come work for them because they got better resources that can help him pursue his projects. And eventually, they would say, hey, we got Im-sama, or the Gorosei could say, hey, I got this project here, this ancient machine that we can't put our heads around. Can you do it? And VegaPunk probably found it easy to do. Ooh. I was just thinking for a second, what if VegaPunk it was easy for VegaPunk to do, First, I was thinking if this ancient weapon is something that's too futuristic for the world government, because we know we're with the world, with the void century and the stuff that came after, and the way that the world looks here, it seems like we're in a point where the world government and the society at large in one piece has come out of a dark age. They're in a dark ages, and they're just coming out of it in the last couple hundred years or so, because there was some great war that ended 800 years ago. And they're just slowly getting back into things where they can use electricity, and they have great communication now with the Denden Moshis. But so I was wondering though, with the government probably has their hands on things like Uranus that came from before and was very advanced. They couldn't fix it up. And they found, what if they didn't find VegaPunk? What if VegaPunk is also in some way a survivor of that time, and he might know exactly how this machine works, because it was part of either he was part of a project that made it, or it's just science, because he's very advanced. What if he knew how this kind of stuff works, because he just learned in general? It was like common knowledge back then to learn how to make something on par with Uranus. Just look at the other stuff he's making is so advanced, like that machine that just produces food in an instant. That has me wondering too. What if VegaPunk is also, what if there are, well, I'm speculating that Salmon, I think I got this from Teching or other people, that Salmon might be an immortal being somehow. What if there are more than one of like that? I brought this up with Rocks, that maybe he was an apprentice type to Eam before, and then so he has the knowledge of how to become king of the world, so to speak. What if they're also not the only ones, and VegaPunk was like that? But I'm only thinking of this because VegaPunk's knowledge is so advanced. Maybe it's so advanced because he's someone from a bygone era, basically. And he survived all this time. He was living on that other island that Frankie was on, and he's been building all this stuff. Maybe he was even in hiding in some degree from the world government, but they found him eventually because word got out. And now he is there back working for them. Maybe he's only doing it because he can pursue his other goals. I'm still thinking kind of research money and stuff is hard for someone with an advanced thing from so far away. I'm getting a drink here. So that could be that. He might be maybe he's just someone from bygone era who's been surviving all this time. But he maybe can't go on forever, and now he's had to make his clones. So where was I going with this? Uranus, yeah. Why is Cypher pull after him? How much does he know now that they need to snuff him out and send the Cyphers after him? The assassin Cyphers. They must have enough too from VegaPunk that they think they can maybe that's why. I just had something. What if one of VegaPunk's clones here is a turncoat? Like, if they kill the VegaPunks... No, they say they want to kill them all, but I don't think so. 7, 8... I have a feeling that one of these VegaPunks is really going to work for the government. Like, the main one will be killed, but the other one of them will survive, and the VegaPunk, the government wants that, because they're still going to need... Even if they can make VegaPunk's technology last a long time, because it's like better than anything they have, how long can that stuff last without maintenance? I see that in the sci-fi stuff where something could just sit there from a very advanced culture and it could just work. But I find that to be a little phony baloney. Like, you need someone to come back and fix that stuff and understand its inner and ins and out. And how are you going to get lucky enough to find somebody else to go and make How lucky are you going to be able to be to have someone who will come along and be as good as that person you're going to snuff out? You need to have a contingency plan there. The world government being who they are, I could see them trying to talk with the other punks behind the scenes and trying to get one of them to come over to their side. So they're probably worried that the main VegaPunk knows too much. What if the other VegaPunks don't know everything then? Maybe they don't know enough. Maybe they're just extensions of him with limited knowledge, enough of his scientific genius and wherewithal with technology and his other projects, but they don't know everything he knows. They're clones that only know what he wants them to know. Especially if he knows too much from the world government because he's been working with them long enough, or if my other theory has any weight and he's been around a long time and knows ancient stuff, even more ancient technology, or just knows enough about Uranus, they don't want that to get out there. Also, why would they worry that he's going to spill the beans? That's another thing. I was thinking when I did the chapter review, the Sen Igus Zero, they must be worried that he's going to spill the beans somehow. And so they are going to snuff him because of that. They can't have this stuff get out. They've already done this kind of stuff before with Nico Robin's homeland, and they're trying to capture her now. They must be really worried about VegaPunk going forward and slipping too much information to the public, and they have to get rid of him. But back to my other thing, why would they get rid of them all? I don't think they would. I have a feeling one of these punks is secretly on the payroll with the government to say, hey, I don't care if you get rid of them. I'll work with you because you need me and I need you. I want to stay alive because maybe I'm an independent punk clone enough where I want to live and continue my own research. I'll work with you. You can kill my other guys. I don't really care about them. I'm just a clone who wants to do my own thing. I'm independent. I'm a strong, independent punk who don't need no other punk. I don't need these other bastards. I hate them. I'll work with you, and you can up my pay. You better up my research funds, you bastards. We've been struggling here for a while, ransacking pirates. I'll work with you more. I'll help. I'll tell you where the other punks are even. So go for it. Which one would do that? Probably Evil, maybe Flare, maybe Logic. I'm going to go with those three, any of them, if this is true. So they're just going to be like, yeah, that's probably the inside information too. How would the Igus guys be good enough to find that information to know where they all are? Whew, I've gone on about VegaPunk longer than I thought. So by the way, I did not realize that this is a Kuma Seraphim. I thought that was actually Kuma. So Kuma must be still at Marijois. So this is actually just a Kuma Seraphim that they brought along with them as backup. Although if it is a Seraphim, isn't it a little bad idea to bring it where it was probably built? And because if one of the other punks there, the one that may have made them, I said it was Yoke, Desire, wouldn't that mean they could just turn off this thing and stop it from aiding Igus Zero and killing off the other punks? I guess, again, they know how to stop that now. Igus Zero has an inside man at the punk facility at Egghead Island to stop that from happening. So again, there are other punk Seraphims that made after the other warlords. So we had Mihawk and Boa that showed up and helped Kobe at Boa's island. I can't remember the island's name right now. And now we got a third one here. So if that one's with them, also at last chapter, Hamepo, I think it was Hamepo or his friend, when they wanted to rescue, they were trying to persuade the Vice Admiral and Rear Admiral of G14 to go to Blackbeard's island and rescue Kobe. They mentioned that Egghead Island is really close and a Seraphim is there. There's only one Seraphim there? This has me thinking out that the other Seraphims, if they've only made 7 of them at this point, one for each warlord, well, there's been more warlords because they had to replace some. if they have at least 7 of them, and we know that Blackbeard probably defeated the white Mihawk one, and the Boa one was still with that crew that came with Kobe to rescue. They were trying to take in Hancock. Where are the other Seraphims? We got one here with August Zero, so that's 3 of them. Well, that could mean the other Seraphims back. Well, no, was that the same crew together? My point is, where are the other Seraphims? Have they dispatched them to other G bases across the New World, or even where was the one on where Marineford was at the other side? So we would have maybe Crocodile and Jinbei and Moria, and what was the last one more? Crocodile, Mihawk, Jinbei, and 7 warlords. Doflamingo, that would be dispatched somewhere else. Is only one Seraphim here? Oh, that would be interesting too. Does that mean we might see a Seraphim battle next chapter? We're going to have Kuma with Aegis Zero. The Hamepo, or whoever, says that there's another one at Egghead Island. So that's going to be really interesting too, to see who will, if we'll have like a Seraphim one-on-one battle, and whether or not, I guess, if that's their ace up their sleeve, if they know something else about how to stop another Seraphim. So I wonder what Seraphim is there. Also, we have more than one. We have more warlords than 7 now, right? We had, I mentioned Doflamingo, Jinbei, Crocodile, and Moria were the other 4 of the originals that could be made into Seraphims. What if they also got Weevil and Law and Blackbeard? So a total of other 10 total warlord Seraphims that could be out there. I think I got that right. So I wonder if there's that many Seraphims out there that could be around at other G bases. Wow. Last, I guess, also the Seraphim thing of Kuma does look like it's got wings on it. So they are giving them wings, like, is that like Lunarian wing again? I forget if they're dark. And last thing, I guess, another thing want to talk about here is I wonder what the what skills, if any, the Aegis Zero here may have that they did not have previously. I know in their arc, at the Enislavi arc, they had the 6 powers. I know there's another Japanese name for it. There was something with an R, and I don't remember enough to say now. I rewatched the arc back in like June, and it was great to rewatch. I read it years ago, and I had not watched it until watched the main fights a few months ago. And I really like those fights overall. Some of my favorites, I think. So I'm wondering if they'll have other skills outside of the obvious stuff we know that many top tier fighters in One Piece have, like different versions of hockey. Will they have like advanced weapons or something, since they are assassins that they may try to use on VegaPunk? And how will that match up against the Straw Hats being there? Also, we only got 3 of them, and we got all the Straw Hats and possibly a Seraphim or 2 there. This is going to be really interesting to see how Oda is going to match up this kind of fighting, if there's any actually one-on-one combat happens, because we got 3 Aegis Zero agents. Also, this is on a ship. I kept forgetting I said they're in some base. They're on a ship in the New World, so they must be heading toward they're heading on their way to Egghead Island right now. Although it's funny that they're on a big world government ship. Where are they going to dock that thing and hide it from Egghead Island? Wouldn't Dr. Vegapunk have some kind of hide? Oh, he does, right. He's got Lilith is out there patrolling the seas with fucking giant-ass sea monsters. That's going to be great to see. Are they going to run into that security, or is it because they got a world government ship, will they be able to avoid that security? I don't think that'll work out fully, because Lilith is just patrolling herself, and she's not going to just let them come in without probably saying, state your business. Then she had like how many? Let's go in the beginning. Let's go back. I got the chapter here. I'm pulling it up. How many animals she had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on my count, plus the robot she's in. 8 things that can go up against that Seraphim and Aegis Zero agents. Also, we don't know if that's the only Aegis Zero agents there. Maybe those 3 are just the 3 at the top who are going over the plan, and then they just give the orders to the others there. I forget who else was with them there. I remember back at the Reverie, they showed other... Yeah, let me go back at that a second. Let's see. Looking at the CP90 agent, I was wondering what other ones were there in back at Reverie, and it was just Stussy and Kaku and Rob Lucci, and there was the other guy there, and I think he might have been at Wano. I was looking at the CP9 agents. I didn't see. I was trying to think of Bluno, Jabra, and Khalifa, especially the ones I thought would be part of this too, have not been shown yet, and maybe. So I'm wondering if because the CP90's agent had planned on look like going off and leaving and doing their own thing and just leaving, being employed by the world government. But it looks like we got Kaku and Rob Lucci to stay there, as well as his little pigeon too, if that counts as an independent someone on the payroll. So I'm just wondering if Stussy, Kaku, and Lucci were the only ones on the who were like the higher ups in this Zero organization, and they were just briefing each other on the information the world government gave them, and maybe they would tell the other members. And it still could be that, I'm thinking, because I'm thinking how the whether or not those 3 plus a Seraphim is enough to go up against whatever defenses the who's who. The VegaPunk's Egghead Island has like 7 robots, as it said, plus the other one that Lilith is piloting. So anyways, that'll be very interesting to fight to see. Plus, we got all the Straw Hats there. I have a bad feeling though that the plan, the Lucci and them have a plan that's gonna perhaps destroy most of VegaPunk's island. They have something probably up their sleeves that'll make this rather sad if they destroy the island and all its futuristic stuff. Hopefully, one of the other VegaPunks, if any of them if they're all going to be destroyed indeed, as it looks like. I'm hoping one of them will survive. I don't know if they'll want to join the Straw Hats, but maybe that knowledge that VegaPunks has, it would seem so sad to lose and go off into the disappear in dust in the wind and not be able to benefit the One Piece world. So yeah, I don't know who this Dusty is. So it'll be interesting to see what abilities they have, what they can do. What's next? Yeah. And I want to see what the other Straw Hats are there. So we know next chapter they'll be meeting, the other Straw Hats will be meeting Shaka. And these guys are here with Wrath. And was that it? Yeah, that was where it ends off. And we don't know how many other Seraphims are there. So this is going to be very interesting to see. I have a feeling though, I'm wondering if this next chapter will switch over. You know, sometimes you think, oh, I want to see what's going to happen here next. But there's so much other stuff happening. Will we switch to maybe Kobe and Blackbeard next chapter? Oh, that's the last thing. And wait a second. I put a charger on this. The last thing I want to go over was something I missed on the cover page. So I was thinking that Caesar may have done something to the Coco Island that they showed in the last cover page. But it looks like what I forgot about is that, well, I didn't notice, the black and white didn't help me any. This is supposedly, oh yeah, look at me reflecting in the plastic. This is supposedly showing that ice has covered the entire island, and I went back and saw where did that chapter go? I was going back to all the German cover pages, and apparently that someone else had shown up to, let me just find it quickly. Oh, here it is. So back in back in chapter 1046, we saw these mysterious figures show up in Whole Cake Island. No, was that Whole Cake Island or just one of the other islands? And Tekken was pointing out that it could have been Aokiji, who supposedly is working with the Blackbeard. And I didn't realize this with the last cover with the ice. I thought maybe Caesar had some gas weapon and he unleashed it to help him and Sanji's siblings escape. But this lines up with something I had been worried about before, and I can't recall if I brought this up, but when Blackbeard said he was going out to take some opportunity that he couldn't miss, we found out now he went to Boa's Island. I thought when he said that back then, he was going to head to Whole Cake Island, or worse yet, go to Wano and wait until everyone was beaten down and try to steal Big Mom's and Kaido's fruit. I think I leaned into that one, actually. I don't know if I said the whole cake thing, but maybe I thought about it later on. But he did dispatch some of his commanders, and it looks like this could be so. This is something I have been kind of worried about, and it looks like he could be there to send someone there to extract something. Whether they're going to steal the devil fruits, if they can, without Blackbeard, or get the road poneglyph. So something is happening here. So I hope we find that out soon. So something is happening at Whole Cake Island. Big Mom and her taking away most of her main crew has definitely appeared to have left them weakened enough where we have an escape from Sanji's siblings, and somebody else is coming there to take advantage of this as well to get something from her. And this has me a little worried for the Whole Cake Island people, because by and large, everyone there is a good, upstanding citizens. It's Big Mom and some of her closest crew members that are very vindictive and pirates. And Big Mom has this great ideal of having the whole world be a nice, diverse, perfect society, but it's her way she's going about it has always been the Queen of Hearts thing. And I'm just really worried, though, that with her taking away her best and brightest, also to Katakuri, because he's recovering, that the islanders are in trouble. That a lot of them could get killed, and someone's going to lose some devil fruits, maybe, powers. I was actually more worried, though, that if Blackbeard had gone to Wano and stolen Blackbeard's and Kaido's and Big Mom's fruit, that would be awful, because their fruits in general make them, Big Mom's especially, she's so OP with her fruit, but having a giant dragon fruit to give to someone else you can trust would be a great asset to Blackbeard's crew and make his King of the World plans better. By the way, I do like what Blackbeard's going for, because it does seem like he's trying to one up and do better than what Zebek did back in the day, Rocks. He had Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Wang Ji, Captain John Smith, or just John Smith. He had some great people on his crew, but not enough. I really think Blackbeard's going for quality and quantity to create enough people to take on the world government and any number of pirate crews like Big Mom's, because Big Mom's too is a bit of a quality thing. I think there's more quantity there, because most of her I think when you get with Blackbeard, the amount of people he's got on his side that he got from level 6 are more on par with being someone that could give someone like Big Mom a hard time. Big Mom herself, but not give her executives, her officers a hard time. Big Mom's crew looks very intimidating, but if you have enough people who are nearly as great or greater than Big Mom, all her numbers mean nothing. I think Blackbeard is going for that. He's going to make a great crew, of followers and maybe sub-commanders, perhaps he'll go that way too, having like second in commands to each of his Titanic captains, be potent enough. So that's what I'm thinking. If he had stolen Big Mom's and Kaido's fruit, he would have had perhaps Shiru or the other girl, the one girl, give like, hey, do you have a second in command you trust now? Well, give them this fruit. Give him Big Mom's fruit. Give him Kaido's fruit. And now we got these second tier trustworthy members who will help bolster our forces more so. That's the kind of stuff I'm thinking Blackbeard's going for. He probably would have done the same thing with Boa's fruit. He could have given that to someone he really trusts. Probably another female character, perhaps. Or I guess he could give it anything. Oda could do anything, and I'd be fine with it if it makes sense. Some other person would have got Boa's fruit, unless he was going to incorporate. No, he wouldn't incorporate himself. He's probably one of the least attractive characters here, unless you're into big pot belly things. Characters. He would probably give it to another woman. I would, if I was in his position, and have her. That you have another power to take out more the fodder against an enemy. So I'm really worried. That's what Blackbeard's doing. I like that he's taking this idea that's kind of was like what we saw with Zebek now too, and bolstering it, going times 5 or something. He's going to make a lot of devil fruit users to take over the world. So yeah, anyways, it does look like someone there, I'm suspecting Aokiji has gone to the Big Mom's Islands to get something. I'm thinking the rope poneglyphs, because Blackbeard unless Blackbeard's got a way he's going to sneakily follow. Oh, that's right, he does. There's Caribou. Unless Blackbeard had another way of, he wants to follow the Straw Hats because he knows they're ahead of him, or the other, like Law and Kid. I was thinking he's going to try and get the road poneglyphs and to get information from himself. Oh, that's right. Tekken thinks that, or I know it was a comment in Tekken's video where they said maybe they're going to go after Pudding. So maybe they could still follow through on my idea. If they get the other road poneglyphs and Pudding, they could try to beat someone like Luffy by having her decipher them, because they can't get Robin. Maybe he doesn't want to try and go after that directly. Blackbeard likes to do sneaky stuff. Maybe he wants to get Pudding and the road poneglyph from Big Mom, then he'll go to Wano and go to Zoe. And we don't know where the last one is. What did I say I think it was? I forget now. Maybe Blackbeard will go that route to get the road poneglyphs and get to Laughdale first. The other thing I was just thinking of, though, is that if Caribou is like a spy for Blackbeard, all he has to do, and this sounds like the better way. If I was Blackbeard, I'd probably go and do it myself because I'd want to do that. But the smarter thing when I hear it is if you can have a spy follow another crew and have them do the work. Maybe Caribou follows them and is like, I'm reporting back to Blackbeard. What did he say he was going to say about him? I'll report back to Blackbeard and tell him, hey, we got the last road poneglyph, follow me, like use a Vivara card, follow me, follow my Vivara card, and we're going to get you to Laughdale so you can catch up to him and take him out. That could be something that Blackbeard could be doing too. But so if that happens though, what is happening here on Coco Island? Now we have to figure that out. Maybe there's another reason they're coming here to get something. Maybe they're going to get more devil fruits. Maybe Black Mom has something else we don't even know about that could help sway Blackbeard to want to gather something from there. So, what was that last thing? Oh yeah, what was Caribou going to tell him? One last thing. Let's see, chapter... Let me see. I'm going to go back a little bit. I want to read one other thing. I'll edit this in if I can. Oh, no. Not this chapter. Probably the one right before this. Oh, was it about knowing? Oh, that's right. Yeah. The last thing about Caribou found out that Pluto is in Wano. So what if he? That's the other thing. What if Blackbeard's still gonna go after the ancient weapons too? Would she need something from? Would he need something from Big Mom to make sure the ancient weapons are there? Where the ancient weapons are? Because he went near. So Uranus, Poseidon. Yeah, I'm still surprised that Poseidon wasn't kidnapped at Princess Shirahose wasn't kidnapped. So I was just trying to speculate what else Blackbeard would be from Wano. Caribou. So Caribou meant was we're gonna report to someone about where Pluton is in Wano. So I can't think of what else. Anyways, I think that's it. I went probably almost an hour with this or so once I edit out. So I want to leave it there today. And what did we cover a lot? I'm very happy with like doing these videos. So that also though makes me. And that's the last thing. I'm a little worried about Wano still being attacked. They got attacked by an admiral. But what if Blackbeard sends some others Titanic captains there? What's her name? Is not going to be able to take them on herself. Kaido's daughter. And this is just not looking good for the past allies. So, and we still don't know anything about what happened with Salo or the Lutetia Island or what happened with Vivi too. We don't know about Vivi. We still don't know where Vivi is because we know she got kidnapped and they say Sabo killed her father, King Cobra, but we don't know shit about that. So there's lots of directions here. I'm hoping we'll find some. I feel like Oda's right now is just going to focus more on what's happening in Egghead Island first before he goes on to stuff like Sabo, Vivi, and Whole Cake Island. We'll probably get more of Whole Cake Island really from the cover pages and then maybe get more into that main plot at some point, but we'll see. So anyways, that's it today.